This is Michael Popok, and it's time for Legal AF After Dark. When Donald Trump loses on appeal related to immunity or any other issue, he likes to lose more than once. It's like he likes to hit himself with both ends of the stick. So when he loses with a 3-judge panel on an appeal, that's not good enough for him. He's got to lose with all 12 judges in an en banc decision at the full appellate court before he'll be satisfied. And that's what's happened related to a gag order placed on Donald Trump by the D.C. trial judge, Judge Chutkan, related to that case, which is hopefully going to go to trial sometime in May or June. And Donald Trump didn't like the 3-judge panel, so he went to the full 12. And we'll tell you what happens next. One place on Legal AF. Let's take a look.
Let me just briefly talk about what's going on in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. You predicted this, Popok, but a fairly easy prediction to have made that the D.C. Circuit Court...
you challenged me when I did.
The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected Donald Trump's request for an en banc hearing. It's spelled E-N space B-A-N-C. It's a Latin term to hear the full panel of all of the judges who comprise the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. You can basically petition on extraordinary cases that they hear the decision by a 3-judge panel, right? So the way it works is federal judge Tanya Chutkan made the ruling imposing a gag order, a 3-judge panel by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which kind of supervises the district court, Judge Tanya Chutkan. They mostly affirmed the gag order. Some aspects of it they modified, but they mostly affirmed the gag order on Donald Trump. Trump goes to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, the full panel, and says, hey, right-wing judges, you want to help me out here? Maybe we can hear this. And every single one said no. None of us want to even have a hearing on this. Rejected. So Donald Trump loses yet again. And then we talked about it.
I want to make a point.
I'm going to give you the full opportunity to just kind of, okay, and then finally the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals panel, as we talked about at the outset, they have not yet reached a decision on the absolute presidential immunity question. My prediction was it would happen before February. So, next week I would be putting it at the outer perimeter of my prediction of when we would get a ruling, by Thursday. But that's kind of the outer perimeter of mine. If it keeps going to the following week, I'll start probably having a little bit of concern of what's going on. And even if they ultimately were to rule that absolute immunity does not exist, which I think they will ultimately reach that conclusion, the delay is going to cause a problem if this keeps getting pushed further and further out. But Popok, I'll let you finish up with kind of everything else on that topic.
No, I didn't have much more than that. I think you hit it well on the 3-judge panel. I am concerned. I thought it would come much faster. I said 5 days. The way that hot bench was against John Sauer for Donald Trump, I really thought they had already coalesced, having read the briefs, around where their decision making was going to be. And Judge Pan is such a forceful power among the 3 that I thought she'd kind of get this together quickly. Yes, understand the historical importance of the decision about declaring for the first time that there is no absolute immunity for criminal conduct of a then president. We don't want that precedent on our books and for our history. But she's having a harder time, as you said. As we both said, they're struggling internally, but eventually the perfection can't be the enemy of the good enough. She's got to get this order out, because I think everybody believes at the D.C. Court of Appeals level, based on prior rulings against Donald Trump from our indication of where their heads are at there, that it's important that the American people know whether Donald Trump is a convicted felon or not before November 5th. In order to do that, since Judge Chutkan's already signaled in her most recent ruling, finding that Jack Smith is not in contempt for having to continue to progress the case in a certain way. But she did say that, while I thought 7 months was enough time, 6 months is not enough time, and 5 months is not enough time for Donald Trump to prepare his case. And this case has been on ice, and a pin has been placed in it for over a month since the filing of the notice of appeal. So they got to get off the stick here and get this out if there's any hope. Okay, March is gone. There's not going to be an early March trial involving Donald Trump and Jack Smith. Just not happening. Alvin Bragg, yes, poetic justice. He's first to indict, first to try a case. Great. We'll take at this point, we'll take any criminal trial that's available at the moment. But we want this trial to get started and off the ground in May, June. And we're getting up there now. Forget Alien Cannon. That case is not happening, and Judge Chutkan's not going to wait for that case. And to just clarify one thing that I see sometimes raised in chats, DMs, and other things to me and to the others, there is no world in which there are simultaneous criminal cases against Donald Trump. Due process won't allow that, and constitutional rights of the defendant won't allow that. So whatever case is up and running, that case has to run to conclusion, and then there's a little bit of a gap before the next trial starts. So if March 24th is Stormy Daniels, that it takes a little bit longer to pick a jury in New York than other places. And so you're talking about 8 weeks, March, April, May. And now suddenly, hopefully Chutkan's ready, May, June. Forget about Cannon. She's done. Mar-a-Lago is not getting tried this year because of these other problems that we just talked about. And then Phony Willis, not because of who she's going to Napa Valley with. That's not the reason, but her case would not even be, there wasn't even be a thought that it would get tried before August. And she's already said it's going to take her 7 or 8 months to try that case. So forget it. There's no up or down vote, if you will, prior to that. And the one comment I'll make about the en banc is that does have an impact on the Supreme Court should Donald Trump now decide to take the gag order issue, which I'm not sure he's going to do, up to the United States Supreme Court. Because, yes, the U.S. Supreme Court will review this sort of de novo, if you will, certain aspects of it, but there is now a 12-0 vote, if you will. No one on the DC Court of Appeals, no one wanted to hear this en banc and thought that the 3-judge panel led by Judge Millett got it wrong. Not one. You needed a majority to just even hear it, right? You needed 7 to vote for it, which would have been almost impossible. And then even if they wanted to hear it, they still have to, on the merits, they have to decide something. He didn't get any that wanted to hear it. And that will resonate with the United States Supreme Court if and when Donald Trump decides to take an appeal, which I don't think he's going to take, given that he's losing regularly on immunity issues and gag order issues. And I'm not sure he needs, although, I think the running theme on Legal AF the last few weeks is his legal team is terrible, does not give him proper advice, or he is his own strategist. Between him and Boris Epshtein, they make terrible decisions that no normal litigant would make. No normal litigant would think to take an appeal on given his track record so far and his losing track record. I'm on with Anthony Davis this weekend on the weekend show, and Anthony posited he's still the Teflon Don. There's still things that he can get away with. And I said, I don't see that anymore. I mean, he's lost on immunity time and time again. He's lost on gag orders. He's lost on jury verdicts. He's been indicted 4 times. He's not going to go 91-0, on his indictments, on his felonies to win this case. We are seeing justice and I'll leave it on Robbie Kaplan's comments about E. Jean Carroll. We are watching the justice system at its best and a jury system at its best. It takes time. I've got a case that's like 9 years since it was filed that hasn't gone to trial yet. It happens. But we'll continue to hold people accountable here on Legal AF. We don't blow smoke or sunshine. Ben and I certainly don't. Karen and I don't. On what we do.
Yeah, Ben and Popok don't either. Popok, they say the greatest trick of that the devil ever played was convincing the world that he did not exist. I think the greatest trick that authoritarians and people like Donald Trump have ever played is convincing the world that they don't lose. Donald Trump's a loser. He loses over and over again. Everything he's touched, he's not a builder, he's a destroyer. He's bankrupted every company he's touched. You go back to his history from the 70s and the 80s, it's filled with litigation and losing litigation, losing over and over again. And he would lose in Atlantic City. He would screw over contractors. They would sue him. He would try to delay it. He would end up trying to settle with them. Loser, 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 loser. Yet because Oh no, he speaks like a petulant third grader about being a winner over and over again and goes, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, and just keeps on repeating that. It's a very strange thing that's instilled in the psyche, but authoritarianism and the propaganda behind it has always hoisted these types of people up to make it feel like their victory is inevitable and to make everybody else feel that there's just nothing you can do. So you just have to accept the inevitability of that. Those MAGA tactics that we would see and call out and expose in authoritarians abroad and historically and look down upon has reached our shores. And it's really sad to see. You talk about independence. I talk about even mainstream Republicans, independents, the pro-democracy community needing to unite right now against this threat. But for everyone, to your point, when you said Anthony Davis positive that this is the Teflon Don, this is a loser. This is a weak, unhinged, weird loser of a person who whines. He wasn't there when the verdict was taken. He storms out of courtroom. His behavior is that of a loser. You want to talk about courage? You want to talk about winners? You want to talk about real power? Look at E. Jean Carroll. Look at her lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, and Roberta Kaplan's partner, Sean Crowley. You want to talk about winners? Look at Judge Kaplan, who has respect and dignity and controlled his courtroom. Those are the values of the United States of America, not this MAGA mess.
Well, there you go. If you like lawyers talking about things, they know what they're talking about at the intersection of law, politics, and justice, you've come to the right place. And there's only one home for us on Legal AF, the MeidasTouch Network. Now 2 million subscribers strong. So if you know all about us, you're already part of our audience. Thank you from the bottom of our podcast. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays and on audio podcast platforms of your choice. If you know about us already, take that clip. It's like a gateway podlet you can send to people in your life and ask them, tell them, this is what I've been talking about. This is Legal AF. Take a listen. And then they can join our audience. That's what we're hoping for with these Legal AF After Darks. Until my next hot take then, until my next podcast, Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.